Welcome and welcome back, everybody. Tabletop Toki here, and in today's video I'll be sharing with you my board game plays from October 2023. So to kick things off, I played 89 different games with a total of 115 plays and a pretty good distribution of plays throughout the month. Looking at our most played game here, we have, of course, Call of the Wild, which I talked about in my previous video. Such a fun game. It's been really great being able to bring that around and introduce it to a lot of people. I also did a Game Crafters Orders, which included Mindburners Into the Void from Nathan Munier. This is a 1 to 2 player drafting game where you're just getting 5 cards, but it has been so satisfying. Spoiler alert, there may or may not be a video on this coming soon, and some of the other games I got to play for a first time, including Cursed, which is another just tiny micro solo game with a push your luck element. This one is really also excellent, and it plays in just about 5 minutes. So it's one that I was able to get to the table a lot. I also got to try Birdscaping, which was in my order. This one is very in-depth. It is a very crunchy game for only having 18 cards. A lot of people said it's kind of like mini Wingspan, which you do have a grid of cards, but the cards are multi-use. It was a really engaging one, so I've been enjoying that a lot. I also had my first plays of Hickory Dickory, which is a worker placement game. This is one that really grabbed my attention just based on the theme and components, but I told myself that it was probably way lighter than I would enjoy. However, upon playing it at 2 players and again solo, it was really enjoyable. There was a little bit of heft to it. Although the actions are very simple, you have a very limited time in order to collect your items and turn them in for contract fulfillment. This one, as far as the scope of the game and everything, very basic actions, but the timing of everything was really fun. I also had my first play of The Hunger, which is a deck building game, kind of not unlike Clank, where you're going to be eating humans, and as you do that, they're going to slow you down. You have to get back to the castle before daylight strikes again. This one was really interesting. I'm super excited to try it with the expansion that introduces werewolves and vampire hunters and a couple new mechanics that I think will clean up the base game pretty nicely. I had a lot of other plays. One other notable play was Concordia Venus, which I won in an auction, and oh my gosh, you guys, geez. So it just said Concordia bundle, and I saw that there was Venus and Salsa, which is the like salt expansion. What I didn't know was that all the cards would be sleeved, that it included 2 extra map packs, and that it had custom screen printed meeples that were unique for each faction. Oh, this was such a treat. Concordia is one of those games that I did not own prior to this. I'd only gotten to play it twice, I think. And so I was really glad to not only get a copy, but to be able to play it so soon as well. I also had a first play of Moon, which is the newest game in the like kind of line of games of Villagers, Streets, and now Moon. This one was really interesting. I liked the player interaction where you could give other players rovers and basically utilize their cards to get resources or other benefits, but at a cost of course, giving up that rover resource. This one was really cool. I'd be interested to see how the Valkyrie expansion adds things to it. We had a lot of other plays of some favorites, some that I haven't played in a while. Winter Kingdom, I just found a copy of at my local used bookstore, which was crazy because I had actually gone to our local game store's garage sale, which was a hot mess. This was the one game I went for, and it didn't even end up being there or getting dropped off. So I was pretty bummed, and lo and behold, the next time I go to a used bookstore, there's a copy in shrink right there on the shelf. So this was a really fun treat if you're not familiar with it. It's not really area control, it's more like, I guess it is kind of area control, where you are playing different cards and setting out your forts onto the board to try to lock in majorities around castles and build different combinations based on the cards that are selected for that playthrough. So this was a fun treat just in time for snow, because oh my goodness, happy Halloween, everybody. There's snow on the ground. Another new game that I got to try out was Spellbook from Phil Walker Harding. This one was very simple. I think that the different combinations of spells are interesting, but it kind of felt like I was doing the same thing throughout the entire game. Depending on how the other spell sets work, we'll see if that changes, but essentially you're just collecting these materia and turning them in order to purchase spells. And it's a race to see who can get the most points by finishing all your spells or filling out your track by banking those materia instead. I think it was a very clean, simple set collection game, but not with just cards per se, so it gave a little bit of engine building vibes. The only thing that didn't really feel like engine building was there wasn't a good way to combo off of each of the cards. It was kind of just get the card, be able to do that ability. So it felt very segregated in that aspect, which was something that kind of left a little bit to be desired. But again, we'll see if the other card packs kind of fix that or address that. I also had a first play of Momiji, which is another game that I got to win at the auction. This was one that I had hemmed and hawed on for a while because it's super beautiful. However, I think I liked it quite a bit. It's another set collection game with cards, but you are trying to see if you want to go deeply into like one type of card and score them, get a gate, multiply those cards by 3, or if you want to go kind of wide and go for acorns, which will allow you to use different abilities and score you points at the end of the game as well. So this one had some interesting pattern building. I hear people's criticisms, and I think from what I remember, a lot of people had said sometimes the right card just doesn't come up, or sometimes by the time it gets back to you, the cards that you need are gone. But there are a couple of things that you can do to mitigate that, such as turning in acorns to refresh, which again isn't great, but there are some options there, so it'll be interesting to see how I like this one after a couple more plays. We had a lot of replays of games. Sentient, if y'all haven't played it, I know it's regularly out of print, but this is one of my favorites, where you are using cards, which will then count towards set collection, to manipulate your die values and try to get certain patterns. So it's very mathy, but you're also selecting those and doing some area control with your workers and assistants in order to try to get banners, which will then combo off of your cards for set collection. It's just a beautiful, wonderful, crunchy game. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. The only thing that I can complain about is I wish it had a freaking solo mode. Oh, it would be so perfect. There probably is an unofficial one that I'm not aware of, but that's how it goes sometimes. I also picked up Sharid, which is an I Cut You Choose game, where the leader of the round is going to separate the cards out into different categories, and then everybody will select face down which group they want and reveal. So if multiple people go for the same group, then that group will get split again and again and again until it can't be broken down anymore. So it's got some really interesting elements of I Cut You Choose with a little something extra. It was really streamlined, really easy to explain, and although the cards were just numbers, it had a really nice presentation as well. Let's play Boop as well, which is Boop, but with cute little ghosty and pumpkin cats, and then you have these little ghost cats that travel down the seams and boop cats as they go, just automatically once they start on their path. So this was a really cute addition to the Boop universe. Who knows how many they're gonna make. I also got to play Pingo Pingo, which I got for $2 at the auction because nobody else wanted it. This is a real-time, full-out dexterity, everything speed game. So you're flipping cards and slapping them trying to get treasure, but sometimes event cards will come up, which will require you to load a plastic pistol, run around the room, and shoot down different targets that are set up away from the table, or touch like 2 ends of the bridge that are set up. And this is all to a 15-minute soundtrack of day and night music where they're chanting Pingo Pingo. So you have to get all of that done before Pingo Pingo comes up again, otherwise you lose a life point. And the amount of life you have dictates how much storage you have for treasure as well. This was super fun. I cannot wait to play it again, if I'm being honest. I also got to play Monsters of Lomand. My partner actually ordered this one and it got here from the Netherlands already. Whew, shout out. This was basically Cabo, but with really pretty art and a couple of extra little things. It's a little bit more chaotic than Cabo because when somebody discards a card, because instead of just memorizing your cards and swapping one at a time or peeking one at a time, if somebody discards a card that you know you have or someone else does, you can yell shoot, and then you can banish that monster and replace it out with one of yours, or get rid of one of your monsters, and you're trying to have that lowest score, just like with Cabo. It was really interesting. I'm not sure if they noted that they took a lot of inspiration from Cabo or what have you. So I feel a little conflicted about that, not knowing, but overall it was a fun experience to be able to play for sure. I also got to try a bag of chips, which was another cheap one that I won at the board game auction. This one Had a little bit of push your luck elements where chips are revealed each round and you have cards in your hand that are scorecards, some of which you'll score positive and one of which will score you negative points if it becomes fulfilled. So you're just trying to wager how many points you think you can win without losing points as well versus your opponents. It was just a really fun, quick one. The only thing is I wish the chips were curled. They were actually just flat. That would have made it really nice. And we have some other favorites, of course, Railroading, duh, Hanamakoji, you know it, all the good stuff. That about sums up the board game plays I had for October 2023. Let me know in the comments down below what you've been playing and what you're looking forward to playing this coming month. Thanks so much for joining me as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.